Hi team, I hope you're all well. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different and I want to talk to you about some inspirational women in literature. So I'm going to do this in 3 different stages. So I'm going to do some 5-star predictions from women that I'm really excited about reading their books. I'm going to do some books with strong female MCs that I have loved previously, and then I am also going to do some books in which I want to reread them and they've been by female authors. So I would like to give you all of these. By the way, there's 5 in each category, so that's 15 books and none of the authors are repeated. So I've been very careful to do that. But before we get into this video, I would like to thank the sponsor of this video, who is Ana Luisa. I have worked with Ana Luisa before and I absolutely love working with them. Their products are absolutely beautiful. They offer long-lasting, tarnish-resistant jewellery that you can wear every single day, and I love wearing their products. So right now for this video I do have these gorgeous earrings, both sets, the silver and the gold. I do have close-ups of these. And I also have this gorgeous plain silver ring. I do have some other products on from them. This necklace is from them previously and I have worn this every single day for the last, I don't know, it's been a while. And there has been no green come off it or anything. They're absolutely perfect. There has been no problems with this at all. I also have this other ring which I have been wearing on my thumb but also fits on this finger too, which again I have worn for a while now and had no problems with. The jewelry is perfect. And then my favorite of theirs so far that I have is this daisy bracelet. If you know, you know. Daisies are my favorite and I adore this bracelet. I wear it all the time. So just a very quick close-up of the jewellery that I did get from them this time round while I chat about them. So Ana Luisa's jewellery is crafted with the planet in mind. The brand is carbon neutral and climate neutral certified, offsetting 100% of their carbon footprint. We love a company that wants to work with the planet and not against it, so I really do appreciate this. They come in these gorgeous pouches and a cardboard box, which obviously can be recycled. So again, we do appreciate that in a company. All their products are backed by a 2-year warranty, which again we appreciate, and they do offer free and fast shipping to the US while also shipping worldwide. And if you are in the US or another country that has not yet celebrated Mother's Day, this is the perfect time to be having a look on their website. We have already had Mother's Day in the UK, but these products are perfect. I've previously gifted my mum something from Ana Luisa for Mother's Day and she absolutely loved it. So I would recommend them for gifts for Mother's Day if that's coming up in your country. So feel free to check the link in the description box down below and use my code if you would like to get some discount as well. They do start off with pretty great prices, starting off at $39. So please feel free to go and check them in the description box down below. And thanks to Ana Luisa for sponsoring this video. I really do appreciate it and I absolutely love working with you as a company. So without further ado, let's get into this video, otherwise it could be an extremely long one. I'm not going to go into too much detail about these books, reading the synopsis, etc. I will just try and give you my thoughts on them and why I think you should read them. So first of all, the inspiration for this video is actually a non-fiction book, and I did just want to mention it really quickly, and it is Call Me Red by Hannah Jackson. This is a non-fiction book. It is by Hannah and it's about Hannah, and basically she is a shepherdess. She works in farming, however she has not been brought up in farming, so she is a novice farmer and shepherdess. She works with sheep primarily, but right now she's also got goats and llamas on her farm. She works with her dogs. She's got loads of them at the moment because her husband will not stop getting them. And I love this book. The reason why I came across Hannah and the reason why I love this book so much, she was on SAS Who Dares Wins. If you've never watched that show, essentially it is like a crash course in what you would need to do to get into the SAS, which is Special Forces. And she was on that and I loved her from the minute that I saw her in that program, and ever since then I've been following her social media, and she has since come out with this book. I read it like the day it came out. It was fantastic, absolutely loved it. I know that she narrated the audiobook in the comfort of her own home. She made like a blanket fort and recorded it in there. It was so good. I loved it so much, absolutely fantastic. If you're looking for a book with inspiration about a woman who has no background of the career that she's currently in, but she's gone into it anyway, despite how hard it is for women in this career, especially farming and agriculture. It is very much a man's world. Just absolutely fantastic, and she's a huge inspiration for me, and I just love her so much. When I grow up, I want to be Hannah Jackson. I'm not gonna lie, I really do want to be Hannah Jackson. So I did just want to mention Hannah very, very briefly. Love this book. Obviously, I am very picky with my non-fiction autobiographies and biographies. I've got to be really interested in the person. So I understand if nobody's going to pick this up because of that basis. But if in general you've been looking for some non-fiction about women who are you know, have gone through their life not fully knowing what they want to do, but really determined with something that they do want to do, and it comes out, you know, not 100% fantastic. She went through some really tough times with this, but it comes out great, and you know, it's perfect. I would recommend, please do pick this one up if you're interested in that. But she is the inspiration for this video, so thanks Hannah for that. She's not going to watch this, but I love her to no end. Okay, so let's start off with some 5-star predictions that I have, which are written by female authors. So we do have Bloodmarked by Tracy Dion. I loved Legendborn, which I didn't anticipate because I'm not much of a YA reader these days, but I loved Legendborn. This is a King Arthur, I don't want to say retelling because it's not. It's got the King Arthur story as an original story, but this kind of continues on with the legacy of King Arthur. Essentially, that's how it continues on, and I absolutely love this. Our main character Brie is fantastic, and I just think she's so good. She's trying to find out what happened to her mother, and she ends up finding herself in this secret society, which are descendants of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and it's just so good. It's got all the fantasy you want in it. It does have some politics. It's got the monsters in it. It's got the magical element to it, and the cliffhanger in this book was outstanding in the first book, so I'm really excited to get to this one. I reckon it's going to be 5 stars, so I'm really hyped. We then do have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. Listen, Abby can do no wrong for me. Every single one of her books that I've read so far have been 5 stars. I just read Part of Your World. This is a companion novel in which, again, our main character Brie don't know what's going on here. Our main character Brie is one of these side characters in the first book. She's the best friend of the main character from the first book, Part of Your World. So would recommend reading them in order, but you don't need to, I don't think so. But I don't know what happens in this one. But listen, either way, I am very excited about it. Brie was fantastic in the first book. She's such a good best friend to our main character. And I think the thing that I love about her the most in the first book is that she actually prevents a conflict between the two main love interests, which doesn't happen very often. I mean, they already had fantastic communication, which is one of the reasons why I loved Part of Your World, but she actually helps prevent a massive thing that could have blown up and been a huge third act and just didn't happen because of that reason. And I just think the communication between all of these characters is great, and I just love it. So I would recommend this series. I'd recommend Abby Jimenez in general, but I'm very excited about Yours Truly and to get to Brie's story. Then we do have Killers of a Certain Age by Dina Rayborn. I haven't read from this author ever before. I don't know if this is a debut or not, but I'm really looking forward to this one. This is following a bunch of retired assassins: Billy, Mary, Alice, Helen and Natalie. They've spent their lives as the deadliest assassins in a clandestine international organisation, but now they're 60 years old. 4 female friends can't just retire. It's kill or be killed in this action-packed thriller. So I'm really looking forward to this one. This is obviously about retired assassins that are now being hunted down by the organisation they worked for because they obviously know too much, and I'm just really intrigued by this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be a really great read, so I'm very excited, hence the 5-star prediction. And again, a whole cast of female characters, which is the reason why I want to pick it up. I think it's just going to be outstanding. Then we do have The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. I've loved S.A. Chakraborty's Daevabad trilogy, and I'm so excited to pick this one up. It's set in the same world as the Daevabad trilogy, so I know the world very, very well, and I'm really looking forward to picking this one up. I've heard great things. This is following Amina, who is a pirate of infamy and one of the most storied and scandalous captains to ever sail the seven seas. And I'm really, really hyped about it. I am not usually a lover of books set at sea. I have very severe seasickness to the point that I actually tried reading Fable by Adrian Young once and had to DNF it halfway through because I got seasickness. I was sat on my couch. So we'll see how this goes, but otherwise I am super hyped to this. I've heard great things so far, and I love S.A. Chakraborty's writing style, so I'm really looking forward to getting into this one, and I think it's going to be great. Again, another 5-star prediction. That's the whole point of it being on this list. And then finally, for the 5-star predictions, I do have Happy Place by Emily Henry. I've given all of her romance books 5 stars so far. I haven't read some of her older stuff, her YA stuff, but I have given You and Me on Vacation, Beach Read, and also Book Lovers 5 star. Absolutely love her writing style. I love the way that she plays with her characters and the way that she, you know, plays with the story. I just think it's fantastic. Everything about them is great. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I actually don't know anything about this, but on the front it says 2 X's, 1 pact, could this holiday change everything? And it looks like just the perfect read. This is the Waterstones exclusive edition, but I've also ordered the, is it Fairly or Illumicrate that are doing an edition as well. I've ordered that one too. And I have an American paperback coming. I got carried away. I don't know what to tell you. Clearly very excited about the book. So it's following Harriet and Wynne, and they are the perfect couple. But how can you pretend to be in love and get away with it in front of other people who know you best? Sounds like fake dating, which is my favourite trope of all time. So really looking forward to this one as well. Emily Henry, would recommend. Fantastic. So those were the 5-star predictions that I have from female authors. Now I do have some strong female MCs that I get really excited about, in all honesty, and I just love them. So we're going to start off with Vin from the Mistborn Era 1 series. She is absolutely phenomenal. I love this series. This is a high epic fantasy series that has lots of politics, tons of magic, and lots of fantastical elements in it. I love this world. I just loved everything about it, and Vin was just the icing on top of the cake. She is such a strong female character for someone so young in this type of world. And I just absolutely loved her. I really missed her in the Era 2 series, and it just didn't hit the same for me. I just didn't enjoy it as much. There were a number of elements to the reasons behind that, but Vin was one of them. She was just such a strong character, and I would love to reread the series to get back with her, because I absolutely loved her. She was literally, like I say, the icing on top of the cake, the cherry on top of the cake for this for me. You just don't get better than Vin, honestly. Then we do have The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss. All of the women in this book are fantastic. This series does follow the daughters of monstrous men in literature. So we do have the likes of Mary Jackal, we have Diana Hyde, we've got also Catherine Moreau, Beatrice Rappaccini, Justin Frankenstein, and we do come across more as the series goes on. We also come across Dr. Watson and Sherlock Holmes as well, but the women in this just make the whole book for me. We follow them basically trying to find other monstrous gentle women throughout the series, and it's just fantastic. The way that these girls interact and the way that they come across on paper is outstanding. Theodora has them basically, one of them is telling the story and the girls are interrupting constantly. Didn't go that way. What are you talking about? I didn't do that. What do you mean? Oh, doesn't he look handsome? Like, constantly interrupting the story, and I just think it's fantastic. The audiobook's very, very good, but these girls, they are such a great group of girls, and I would love to hang out with them and go on an adventure with them. They get themselves in some shit, you know, but I just think they're great, and I would love to hang out with them. They just have their own personalities, and it comes across so well on paper as well, and they're just fantastic. So yeah, found family, perfection. Then we do have someone who you probably would have predicted, at least someone in this family would have come up on this list. We've got Nesta from A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. Now, don't get me wrong, Nesta's a bit of a bitch. And we hate her in the first trilogy of this series. We hate her. However, her story in A Court of Silver Flames is just phenomenal. Everything that she has gone through, her thought process, don't get me wrong, it does not take away from how she treated her sisters. Well, her sister, how she treated Feyre in the first book especially, or continuing on from that point on, the way that she treats Feyre at all, to be perfectly honest. But her arc in this, outstanding, 10 out of 10. She is a very strong woman, and she just comes across phenomenally. The shit that she has gone through from day one, granted she's blamed Feyre for a lot of it, which isn't right, but she comes like full circle with it, and I just absolutely love it. I think she's a very strong female character, and I love her story in here, you know, as well as all the extra bits. But I just love it, and I just think it's fantastic, and I think that SJM has done a fantastic job of writing Nesta and getting to this point with the build-up of the first 3 books. I just think it's been great. So I love Nesta. Hated her in the first 3 books, and I still hate her in the first 3 books when I read them, but I love her by the end of this one. It's a very complicated relationship. She's outstanding. Then we do have Rin from the Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I love this series. I recently just finished this series, and I just love Rin. She has seen some shit through this series, let me tell you, and it all starts in this book. Be careful picking this one up if you are thinking about doing so. Check the trigger warnings and content warnings. There is a lot that goes on in here, so just be careful. But it is an outstanding book nonetheless, and Rebecca does a fantastic job with this. I can't believe how young this woman was when she wrote this book, but it's absolutely outstanding. It's draws into history and mythology, and it's got so much violence in here, so just be careful of that. But it is literally war, so it is expected, and Rin just goes and goes and goes constantly. She just never stops. She never gives herself a chance to stop and think about it, and she just keeps going and going and going, and she's such a strong character, and she has a fantastic arc throughout this story. And there are points at which you start questioning her mental state, and other characters start doing it as well, but she just keeps going, and I just think it's outstanding. The stuff that she sees throughout this story is shocking, and honestly I would have just laid down at one point and been like, that's me, done, I can't go on any longer. But she just keeps going, and she's fantastic, and I absolutely love her. So yeah, Rin from the Poppy War. And then, I don't know if this is predictable or not with the way my reading's been going recently, but I did want to mention the twins from the Zodiac Academy, because, I mean, I'm only 3 books in, but these twins, my god, they get put through the ringer in the first 2 books, and I'm only 2, you know, I've only read 2 books so far, but they get put through the ringer. So we have Tori and Darcy, and they are twins, and they end up finding out that they are not the normal humans that they think they are. They are in fact actually heirs to a Fae throne. So they end up going to Zodiac Academy, and it turns out there are 4 heirs already pinned for the crown, and they are not happy about these original heirs coming back now to claim the throne. Now the girls don't want to claim the throne, they just want to claim their inheritance, and in order to do so they need to get through Zodiac Academy and get through the reckoning, and that's all they want to do. But the boys don't believe them, and they bully the shit out of them. This is very much a bully romance series, but it's very much a bully book. And honestly, I in my review said that they were cracking the pages of these books. I love Tori and Darcy, love them immensely, and in the first book I would say that they read quite similar, but as the books go on their personalities start to shine through, and Tori is very much the stronger of the 2 sisters, and she just keeps going and going and going despite the bullying. Darcy, I think, does struggle with it at times, but she feeds off her sister's strength, and it's fantastic. I just love the way that these 2 sisters, despite it all, continue to just keep going, and they want to prove that they can pass this reckoning and get their inheritance and just move on with their lives. I think that's all going to change, but right now that's where I'm up to. But the bullying they go through, again, I would have just laid down and gone, you know what, you can have it all, just leave me be, because I can't go on like this anymore. So So again, incredibly strong female characters, and would recommend this series. Just again, watch for the trigger warnings with the bullying, but love this series. There's definitely cracking the pages. I'm obsessed. I don't know how Caroline and Suzanne are actually going to turn this around so that I end up liking the initial heirs to the throne, but I know it's coming. And again, just for the extra female solidarity, these two are sisters. Caroline and Suzanne are the twisted sisters for making this series and their other series. But yeah, very excited to continue on with said series. Love the main characters. Tori and Darcy are everything. I think I might be Darcy. Nobody's seen us in the same room, so you know, it could be possible. Maybe I am a Fae heir. Who knows? And then next we do have a list of 5 books that I would like to reread by female authors, with some strong female characters as well. So let's get through these. I do have The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. This is the first book from Rachel Griffin, and listen, I am going to read every single thing she comes out with. She says that. I have not yet read Wildest the Witch, but it's up there. I'm going to do it. Swear. I love this book. We follow Clara Densmore, who is an Everwitch, which means that she can control all of the elemental magics, each of them. And she goes to this school in which all these other witches go, but normally a witch can only control one elemental magic, but she can control them all. And climate is a problem, as it is now in the real world. There is climate change problems, and she is trying to help the other witches with dealing with this issue, but it turns out she could be the key to it all, and she might be able to change it all herself. So the witches are protecting the humans, for example, with the climate change and everything. However, I think the thing that I love about Clara is that she doesn't want to be the hero. And I think that's what I love about her, ironically enough. It seems selfish to begin with, but she doesn't want to be the hero. She doesn't want to be an Everwitch. She doesn't want to be the answer to all these problems. She wants there to be an answer to the problems, obviously, but she doesn't want to be it. She doesn't want to have this pressure on her. Quite frankly, I don't think she can be bothered. But I kind of love the honesty about her. It's not something you come across every day. Usually a person finds out that they could be a hero and the answer to everything, and they want to be that hero. And they try so hard that usually they end up cocking it up 1 or 2 times. But she can't be bothered. She doesn't want to be. And I love that about her. And I just love this series. The writing is absolutely beautiful. I feel like this is one of those books. It's not a series. I feel like this is one of those books that I, in theory, should not have liked because of the writing style. But I absolutely loved it. It was so beautiful. Such a gorgeous book. So many quotes. I did tab this. And it's phenomenal. Phenomenal. I will read anything Rachel comes out with from here on out. 5 stars, outstanding. Then we have the Stalking the Jack the Ripper series by Kerry Maniscalco. I just love this series. I think it's so good. It's such a fun time. I didn't enjoy Escaping Houdini as much, but in general I loved the series. It was so good. We do follow Audrey Rose Wadsworth, and she is secretly trying to get into forensics. She wants to be doing autopsies on people and things like that. After her mother passed away, she finds it fascinating, and she ends up finding herself teamed up with this man called Thomas Cresswell, who they then end up on the case of Jack the Ripper, and they're looking into this case, and it's absolutely fascinating. I just love this. I love that Audrey wants a different path for herself than what is expected of her in the Victorian era, and I love that she is determined to follow that path no matter what anybody else says. She's determined to do it, and I love that about her. I just think it's such a fierce thing to do, and I love this about women as well. I love this in literature, I love it in life, I love it in movies. I love it when a woman's like, you know what, that is a man's world, but I'm going to get into it no matter what, and I'm going to do a great job of it, as good a job as a man can do, if not better, so watch me go. And this one of the things I actually love about Hannah, who I mentioned earlier, Red Shepherdess. She's completely in a man's world, and similarly at this time Audrey is trying to get into a man's world, and it's not something that's expected of a woman. In fact, I don't think they would normally allow it at all at this time, like in this era, but she continues on regardless, and I just love that about her. I love the writing style, I love the stories, I just love it, and I love her and Thomas. They're outstanding. So would recommend, 5 stars. I would love to reread The Lunar Chronicles, starting off with Cinder by Marissa Meyer. This is a series of fairy tale retellings set in space. Well, they're sci-fi. And this one is obviously Cinderella. We do also have Scarlet, Cress and Winter, and I love these books. We are following Cinder, who is a mechanic. She is also a cyborg, and she's a second-class citizen with a mysterious past and lives with her stepmother. Obviously you can see the Cinderella resemblance here. However, one day she gets herself in a bit of bother and she ends up coming across Prince Kai, and she ends up entwined in this adventure with him. The thing I love about this series the most is not only the strong female characters, but also the fact that what happens is, as the series go on, so when we get to Scarlet, we're introduced to Scarlet and her love interest, but Cinder and Kai are still in it. And then when we get to Cress, we're introduced to her and her love interest, but the 4 main characters from the first book are still in it. And as you go on, they just end up becoming this great big farm family, and they've got this one big mission. And I love it. The series is just fantastic. I love the female characters in these books. They're all amazing, very, very strong characters, and I just think it's a very clever way of doing a retelling but introducing sci-fi elements to it, and robots and androids and all of that good stuff. And I just had such a good time with this series, and I would love to reread it. Then we do have Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. Listen, this book changed the game for me, I am not gonna lie. This is such a dark book. Do check the trigger warnings and content warnings for this book, because it's very, very dark. It's a kidnapping romance. The female character does not fall in love with the kidnapper. It is to do with the person she's been kidnapped with. So we're following our main character Cora, who she's attending her sister's birthday party, and at the end of the night she expects at most a hangover or a walk of shame. She doesn't anticipate a stolen wallet leaving her stranded and dependent on Dean, her arch nemesis and ultimate thorn in her side. Dean, it turns out, is her sister's boyfriend. And she really doesn't anticipate waking up in shackles in a madman's basement. To make matters worse, Dean shares the space in his own set of chains. So they are kidnapped together, and this does take a very, very dark turn with the kidnapper. And again, just check for trigger warnings and content warnings. It is very, very dark. I wouldn't recommend this to everybody, but it is a fantastic book. It's very well written, and I love the way that the story, the turns and the twists that it takes, and the way that it turns your stomach, the disgust that you have, but also it just doesn't compute in your brain properly exactly what is going on. And it's very, very dark, and you even come out of it thinking to yourself, like, how would I feel in that situation? Like, why is Cora feeling these things for this person, and how would I feel in that situation? It's a phenomenal book. And it deals with some other stuff as well. I don't want to say too much because it can spoil the book, and it's not a particularly long book, but it's a fantastic book and I would highly recommend it. Cora is phenomenal, and I think the way that she deals with this situation, she just keeps going from strength to strength, and she just carries on with complete determination that she's going to come out of this alive. And I just think it's phenomenal, and with the help of Dean as well. And I just think the whole thing is fantastic, and this story that Jennifer's written, outstanding. 10 out of 10. I absolutely loved it, would highly recommend. Okay, and then last but by no means least, we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I absolutely love this book. Again, another one that in theory I should have DNF'd because of the writing style. You don't like lyrical prose or flowery writing, so in theory I should have DNF'd this because it is a little bit more flowery or lyrical than I usually like. But I couldn't get enough of this book. It was absolutely phenomenal and I loved it. So this one follows Addie LaRue, who makes a deal with a stranger one night who's called Luke. And she makes a deal. She feels like she's just not got enough time in the world, and we start off in France in 1714, and she feels like she hasn't got enough time to do all the things she wants to do in life, and she asks this stranger for immortality, and she gets it. However, there's a catch. No one can remember her at all. No one. In all of her immortality, nobody remembers her. So we follow her over a very long period of time, like I think hundreds of years, if I remember correctly, and nobody remembers her, so she lives this full life but with nobody in it to remember her, and it's heartbreaking but also heartwarming at the same time, and it just gives you all of the feels, and you just end up sitting there thinking, what would you do with all of this time? Would you want all of that time if nobody could remember you, or would you take the time you're given with the people around you that love you and can remember you? And it really gets you thinking. There's some gorgeous quotes in here. I just love Addie and the way that she deals with this entire situation. So yeah, absolutely love this book as well. I would recommend, and I'm dying to reread it. I have been since the day I finished it, to be perfectly honest. So those were 15 author and also book recommendations for you. Obviously the first 5 were 5-star predictions from me. I haven't read them yet, but on the basis that I've loved the authors previously, I haven't read the authors previously, the synopsis just is very, very intriguing to me. I have put them on this list, but I hope you find some new female authors to add to your list, or strong female characters, whichever way you want to look at it. Chat to me in the comments down below. Have you read any of these? Do you have any other recommendations for me based off of these lists? And I'm intrigued to know your thoughts on this in general. It's something very different, but I just wanted to I wanted to do something similar to this actually for International Women's Day, but just didn't have the time to do it. So I thought, well, why not celebrate women all year round and just do it randomly? So I have, and yeah, I thought this was a nice way of doing it, mixing it up into 3 different categories and then doing 5 books for each category. But chat to me in the comments down below if you would like another video similar to this. Have you got any other categories that maybe I could do with this in future, maybe? And yeah, don't forget to check out Ana Luisa in the description box down below if you would like to see some of their gorgeous products. Like, I would recommend, honestly, I love their products. And thank you to Ana Luisa once again for sponsoring this video. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye for now.